This video is a follow-up to the why I walked away from religion video because that got a lot of views and engagements by my standards, so I wanted to expand upon it a little, mostly by focusing on what I actually do believe. Because I mentioned in that video, I still believe in the Maker, as we'll refer to it from here on out. You know, the one that's like the Kree Supreme Intelligence that whoever you admire most is who it will appear to you as. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. The Up my religious views, but I got one of the comments. Some of the comments said that there's always room for room for me in the church, and that and there was another one that said something about how if I just go about doing things that I want or not doing it because I don't get anything out of it, that's I forget the specifics, but I got called out for that. I just want to set the record straight on a couple things. First of the, all buildings have these things called fire codes. It means that there are maximum occupancy limits for buildings, even churches. Like if you are open to the public, you are subjected to having a maximum occupancy for the sake of fire safety in the event that there is a fire. It happens with nightclubs, it happens with bars, it happens with restaurants, it happens with movie theaters. Any indoor space that operates like that is open to the public, is going to have these kinds of restrictions imposed on it. Even churches or houses of worship across the board. But for our purposes, let's just stick with churches for the time being. I talked about in that video about how I noticed as the brother and sister who I overheard the priest talking to about how they used Lyft to get there because they truly wanted to be there. The reason that I said I felt like I was taking up space from someone who truly wanted to be there was because as I know that fire codes are a thing now, morally and psychologically, there is always room for me in the church, like in the idea of the church, but when it comes to objective physical space and fire codes that are there for a reason, they don't just enforce these for fun. I decided I am this isn't something I'm up for. I'm taking up space from someone act who might actually want to be there. Not that I think that the services I went to ever hit maximum capacity. Really, it's only on Christmas Eve or day or Easter when more of the couple times a year people come out and go to church for the big one. Because, like Bill Burr, they don't like going to church every Sunday. I decided, yeah, I'm not going to bother going in at all. I'm taking up space from someone who truly wants to be there. So, like, on Easter or Christmas or whatever whatever more significant holiday. I think those are the only two that are really relevant here. But on those two, it does there's going to be even more risk of hitting maximum occupancy. Sure, typical Sunday, they probably don't reach that limit, but me personally, I decided since the fire code's a thing and I know I'm not really getting anything out of it, like I was coming more out of habit than because I really wanted to be there after I became an adult. Yeah, I just wanted to set the record straight on that. Because at the end of the day, I still believe in the maker. And I guess now that I think about it, was also I don't really. I mentioned in my video that I made about extracurriculars that I found a lot of organizations to be cringe. I mean, in terms of, or the way they presented getting involved in such to made me cringe. That's not to say that the church is cringe, but I guess that I also stepped away to better align with my personal beliefs of making my own path and not being dependent on organizations, whether it be the church, my school, any sort of organization within the school. The library, which I've heard is actually kind of like the what some colleges call student unions for pretty much any adult, or it's more of a community, or it's like a community center. It's basically the last community center of sorts that's left. I also know you can get, at least in my area, you can get discounted tickets to places like the New England Aquarium, the Museum of Science, the Franklin Park Zoo, etc., which I think is nice. I'm not going to berate them for making that an option, but I guess I just prefer doing my own thing and not really being committed to other people in terms of that. Although I will say I do like committing to putting out a video every single day because, well, aside from the algorithm favoring channels that upload daily, I like talking to my phone camera and then sharing what I have to say with others. Like, again, in this case, expanding on my I walked away from religion video. It's not to say that I walked away from religion or the idea of the maker. It's just that I decided not to worry about attending church. I decided not to let the habit stick when I knew I wasn't feeling fulfilled by it. Now I'll still show up to something like the funeral for one of my great aunts that I went to last October that was pretty much a Catholic mass. And I say that because there were readings, communion, That was the first time in over 5.5 years that I'd taken communion. It was mostly out of respect for the context of the situation. So I had received first communion when I was 8, and I was technically qualified to receive it, and I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna go along with it. Mostly, I was there to pay respect to my great aunt and also help my grandparents get around. So I decided to respect the context, and I decided that was a good way to pay respect to the great aunt. Anyway, I think I've made my point. Just wanted to clarify a couple things. Comment anything you have to say about it below. If you want to say that I'm always welcome at the church, yeah, I'm aware of that. I just try I just happen to understand building codes and fire hazards and the fire code and all that. So I still like to leave space for people who genuinely truly want to be there, and I'm not going to give them a hard time for wanting to be there. I'm going to be like, "Here, the space, all yours." Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I will see you soon.